Welcome to Blitzin with Blitch. I'm Daniel Shawnee with Coach Mike Blitch. Coach, rough one on Friday night. Now we get to look forward to traveling down to McAlester for what may be the final season game or the final game of this season. How's the coaching staff and the players after last week's tough loss?
Hanging in there. It was a tough one, especially been in that spot a few times this year where, right there in it to at the end and then just kind of slipped away from us. That's, something we talked about as a staff, then Coach Don and I about just, changing that mentality. We got to find a way to continue to win games and tough ones when things aren't always going our way and kind of getting in those big pressure moments, big pressure situations. Boys came out, they battled. I mean, we just some things you can control, some things you can't. Anytime things don't go your way as far as like calls and stuff, that's going to happen. But that's nothing you can fret on too long. You got to control what you can control. Didn't always put ourselves in the best situations offensively and defensively, and that's tough. We had a lot of guys came out there, played hard their night. Travion Barber, man, just an absolute monster out there. He had 20 tackles and 6 TFLs and a sack. He was actually going into the night leading the entire state in TFLs, and he had 6 to add on top of that. He's got like 31 TFLs from linebacker. I've never actually seen anything like it my whole career. Dude just got a nose for the ball. Like, you just can't go his way. I mean, when they run to his side, like, he just sniffs it out. Like, he's incredible. I mean, first year playing defense. Been talking to Air Force Academy a little bit. They came and got his measurables and stuff. So I mean, he's got a bright future wherever he decides to go. But it's been a blessing for us this year. And just played his butt off there tonight. I mean, that's a big stat line. 20 and 6 on TFLs. That's incredible. But yeah, it was a tough one. Like I said,
Andy had a 40-yard touchdown called back or more.
Yeah, 2 of them. I think we had the long one. I think was that along with Tate and one with Garrett. Both of them got called back. Those are heartbreakers, and those are the ones that we gotta, when things happen, that the sudden change moments and things, we got to get better. That was something this year defensively. Statistically, we liked where we're at on a lot of stuff, like third down percentage being like 30%, fourth down under 30%, like sub like 27%. We liked the numbers like that defensively. In the red zone, though, we weren't great. That was our big number. We were like 70% in the red zone on the season, which was a bad stat. Is not where we want to be. For our expectations for that, we're really good between 25s, and we got backed up. Part of that we knew going in, we're going to be that younger defense. Talked about it, last week. We're like, we're going to get in there, get that defeated mentality. And actually, we played some of our best red zone defense we had Friday night on the season. I mean, we forced quite a few stops. They faked the field goal. Could have given up 6 on a couple of them instead, make them settle for field goals, kind of, bowed our neck. So we're really pleased with the way that, we developed there and had a little progress in that regard. But again, they came up, we thought maybe, hey, we're going to get that block on that last second field goal there. That was tough. I mean, they even muffed it a little bit. Jaquan got up there, got some bigs in there, got their hands up. They have a really good kicker. I mean, we saw him pregame. He was slicing for 45, or 48 actually, putting him between there. So, we knew going in he's going to have some field goal stuff, and until we can get him to settle for that instead of 6s, they're probably going to make the 3s. But kind of game we went into. But yeah.
From a defensive standpoint, you have Travion there, and I want to echo that. I mean, that young man and the heart that he shows, and just the quietness and strength that he shows. I mean, he just does it with his play. He comes out of nowhere. So often it's like, could that have been Trey again? And it was just about every time. But right below him, you have underclassmen in the next 3 tackle slots. I think you have Cade McKee, Riley Story, and then Nolan Ward. And that really bodes well for the future of Shawnee football. And as we move into McAlester, which is where we travel this Friday night, what type of offensive prowess will your defense be running into with the McAlester Buffaloes?
Good mix. I mean, they got a running back and run ball pretty well. They'll run the quarterbacks. Do some heavy stuff, similar to kind of like Durant's attack. They got a good receiver. They got one guy that's got, I think, go over 600 yards that they'll try to get the rock to in the passing game. 2 quarterback system they've used throughout the season. kind of at first we saw it early in the year. It's like maybe injury stuff. They kind of go between the two guys and they'll mix them in there, bring a guy in. Sometimes play them out of position doing different stuff. They put them at an H back and some different things. So um, they got a heavy set package, very similar to what we saw again. Kawita Durant, where they'll come out. Actually, the same thing. Kelly, everyone's got the same thing to kind of run this year. Kelly was doing it their night too. Just a lot of down block, kick and wrap with two up backs from under center. That's kind of like the little staple we've seen, the little trend that's going on the last couple of years. So do some of that kind of stuff. But good balanced attack. They'll be disciplined. Basically on McAlester, we talked about Kelly, extremely disciplined team, everything they do. Coach DePon's done a heck of a job over there. With McAlester, year in, year out, they're just physical. I mean, those kids are just, they're going to be tough and they're going to be physical. They're going to try to match our physicality level, which we felt like we try to do a good job this season and have done to be a physical team, come out, set the tone early and, make sure we're hitting. I mean, we want to go out there and hit. Like, we don't want to just tackle kids. Like, we want to make sure they feel us every time we tackle them. We want to let them know that we're here and it's going to hurt to play Shawnee Wolves. Like, that's the goal. We want them to know it, talk about it, think about it, for the whole next year, and come, the year after, know, hey, we're going to go play Shawnee. Like, you're going to get hit in the mouth. So that's been the goal for us defensively, is embrace that mantra and have that physicality. And McAllister's going to do a pretty good job of matching that. Last year is a little slobber knocker here. They got us, but I mean, it was a game that was, low scoring again till the end. And we were just, out there banging. So it'll be a fun one. Go up there. I see the guys. So we got some new turf. I was up there in the spring for soccer. So it looks like they've redone their field and stuff. So that'll be good. Anytime you get new turf like that, as we've seen this year for teams, you can struggle with the footing on it. Then it's gonna be something new. So we'll see how that feels once we get out there. See if Turf Monster gives us any issues early, because they'll have be accustomed to it, acclimated. Whether we won't be out the gate, but I think it's gonna be a fun matchup. It'll be a game that, again, I think is gonna come down to that late third, early fourth quarter. That third quarter really sets the tone for a lot of ball games for us this year.
Yeah.
First halves kind of go up and down, and then kind of where that third quarter takes you, that fourth quarter kind of lies. So if if you got to pull one away, get a little bit of lead, and then that third, you're feeling good in that fourth. If you're trailing, it's gonna be back and forth. And a lot of times we've been neck and neck. So it comes down to that first half, that fourth quarter, into that final segment there. So that'll be a big thing for us. See how we come out on the road early first, and then see how we respond in the third after we've seen how that first half is laid out there in front of us.
So talk a little bit about that. What do you anticipate from your defensive side when we talk about, we've been in a lot of close games, and the defense has kept us in a lot of those games. What do we anticipate, response wise from our boys, knowing that, oh wow, we just let the season really go through our fingertips. This may be our last ball game.
Yeah, like I said, we got to have some help. We got to take care of business against McAlester. We'd have to have some help to get in. So there's always that in the air. But as far as us, we just kind of, you never know. While there's still that slimmest hope that's out there, that sliver, we got to hold on to it. And the biggest thing for us, have some pride. Try to tell the boys, you want to go out. It's the difference between whether we get in the postseason or not, between 4-6 and 5-5. It's a different feel, different look to it. One's 500, one's a losing record. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just what it is. And for those guys that are seniors going to the next level, impressing the importance in them, as understanding, like, this is kind of film guys want to look at the next level. If you want to go be a collegiate player, a lot of guys will go look at, hey, let's go watch this game. They realize they got nothing maybe to play for. How to respond for that? Let's go look at this game where things aren't looking good. How do you respond to that after a tough loss, game-winning field goal? Because, there's going to be times at the next level in their college careers where things aren't going to go great, season in, season out. So how are they going to respond? You see a kid come out there, look like he's checked out, thinking about basketball season out there, just going through the motions. That may not be a guy you want to bring. It's not a guy I want to bring into my program. If if I'm a college coach, I'm putting my my name on it, my job on the line, got to provide for my family and stuff. That's not something I want to do. So just letting them understand that this matters for multitude of reasons. And for one, the hope's still alive out there. You never know till it's over. I mean, we've been in games where we've come back and won. We've been in games where we thought we're about to run away with it, and they've come back and made a ball game out of it. So you fight till it's over. That's just, you claw and fight and scrap and don't quit. That's just how it is. You got to have pride in anything you do. And especially defensively. Kind of preach that to them. Is like, listen, we want to go out there and get after these boys. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I like to mess up seasons. I like to go out there and just hit them. I mean, I want to go out there and even if it is a loss, I want to make sure they felt the Shawnee Wolves just again and again, just banging on them every time they run that rock. So, and then next week, I want to see them look a little, beaten and broken. It's their playoff game if they get in there. So that's the goal for me is the victory then the victory because we want to come out there and set that tone. Man, we got a lot of young kids, like you said. Um, this year we came in as far as true like day one starters. We had one that was Logan Skelton. I mean, Garrett and Ramel they started last year as the season came along. Nolan due to injuries. I think Ramel started about halfway through the season last year. Garrett about 5 games left in the season last year, somewhere in that range. So Logan was the only day one planned starter last year that carried over. To this year, and now heading into next year, we know we're going to have quite a few. I mean, like you say, those underclassmen. We're obviously going to lose a couple guys on the back end. We'll have Garrett and Ramel back on that back end in that secondary, missing some guys like Kevo Tyner and them, but Jaden Hunt. We'll have those two back though for sure. Then on the linebacking core there, we know we're going to have Nolan Ward coming back with Cade McKee. I mean, they're sophomore and a junior, so next year will be a junior and a senior. Have that. Got to replace that that Rob spot, that linebacker. We've got younger guys like Kyle Williams who got his feet wet this year at the varsity level. Losing Jaden Smith will hurt. He was out Friday, so that'll be another one that we'll have to replace. But then across the front, D line, we're pretty much getting what we ended the season with. We're getting them all back. So with that James Hooks being a freshman, and Logan Skelton and Riley Story, with two of those kids being true underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores. So we're going to bring back 7 and of kids who've actually played or started games. 7 to 8 kids will be back next year. So it'll be a stark contrast to where we started the season this year, having 1 to maybe 3 kids who actually started and touched the field as starters last year. To have 7 or 8 of them next year, it'll be a good change of pace for us. So we're excited about what we got here in the future on the horizon. A lot of these young kids, we got a pretty sizable, talented class we know coming up. Some of these Rock Creek kids and Grove and all those in the Shawnee Middles. So our middle school 8th grade team, I think they only lost 1 game on a season right now. It's that 8th grade squad. So they've got a lot of talent down there. Nolan's little brother, Roy Ward, and some of these kids that are the younger brothers going to be moving up. They've been around it and been around us for a few years. They know the expectations. So, we're getting to that point where this will be our first. So like Logan and them freshmen through. So Logan, Nolan, all those guys, Mel. So they'll be seniors next year, and that'll be the true first 4-year crew. And now we'll start to see that effect of that leadership that we've tried to instill in them trickling down. And now these young kids, as we set that culture, which was the goal coming here, is reestablish that culture going forward and see how that pays dividends on those young guys coming in with their, mental preparedness, where they're at, man, maturity wise, with the expectations we've set in front of them.
So we have a lot of guys who have aches and pains. Who are the names this week that you're going to be relying on? Who needs to have big games this week, Coach?
Obviously Travion and Nolan will be big ones for us. We got, I mean, hell, they're going to see the film anyway. We got guys got banged up in that one. I mean, you saw it. We'll have some guys out.
But let's talk about the guys that are going to be in there. It's going to, Logan Skelton.
Logan's got to have a big game every week. I mean, he's got to go reset that line of scrimmage up there. For us in this one, what I think we're going to get offensively, I think Logan's got to set the tone, reset that line of scrimmage. We need James and Riley to make sure they keep that contained, flush in there, get some penetration. Logan's going to be that that gap stop guy. They're going to be the penetrators for us. I think Nolan has got to have a good interior game, and I think Travion's got to help us on the exterior out there on the perimeter, make sure that he cleans up everything outside. Do solid in with the safeties coverage-wise. Some of the stuff they do and kind of get some eyes wrong, as long as they're disciplined and their eyes on the back end with really Kevin Tyner and Garrett. I think that'll solidify us. Our corners like to be a little aggressive, so that'll help with it. But really, for me, I think Travion, Nolan, and Logan that set that triangle in there inside. That'll be the biggest thing for us. We got to set the tone in the line of scrimmage and reset that. We can't give yards early in there because it just starts leaking at that point. We've got to make sure we stuff the run.
Who are you going to have out on the corners this week?
I mean, it was probably Ramel rotate through out there some where he has been. Hunt's been kind of laboring at times, so we got to check with that. But we'll see. I'm hopefully Hunt and Mel be back in the fix. Dylan's been a little banged up as well. Some different things. So Ramel for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll lock
What
him
about
in there.
Braylon? He's kind of came off the defensive side of the ball, hasn't he?
Yeah, he hasn't played as much us defensively the last few weeks. You know, he played at safety, and then once we got Kevin, and then Kevin started getting healthier, and then once we got Garrett back healthy, that helped free him up to kind of focus one side of the ball. We had
Mhm.
more depth going in the season. We were pretty light there.
Yeah.
So then once we got healthier and stuff, we added more depth and kind of allowed him, because it's hard. Biggest things when you're at quarterback, you know, you come off the field. You be able to talk to your coaches, watch film, talk what happened, look at the coverage. You know, their pre and post rotations on the back end, what they've got going on. So when you go straight to defense without coming over and be able to talk to your coaches, you always have time to fix the mistakes that happen. Like if something happened, hey, we want to look at this check. Let's, you know, make sure we see this in the run game, reading this guy, et
Mhm.
cetera, et cetera. So when you go in there and you don't get that time on the sidelines with the coaches, it can be detrimental. So, you know, early on we played him more. And then now that once we got more depth, we're trying to allow him to be able to talk on the sidelines and watch that film and, you know, draw up what they have next offensively, what they want to get to. So
Should be a fun Friday night. Give everybody your best invite to bring
yeah.
themselves and their families down to McAlester.
Hop in the car, man. Drive down there. Oh, McAlester. They have a little rowdy place down there. We
They
were down
do.
in the spring, and it's kind of back in the woods over there, and you feel isolated. And there's in the middle of nowhere. You know, the banjo's playing a little bit, so you gotta be careful out there. But they come out there, support us. It's gonna be a big one for us. We want to, you know, come out on a high note. Yeah, again, we don't entirely control our destiny at this point, but any hope we have what's going on, continuing this season for these senior boys comes through. You know, McAlester. Castor Buffaloes, they go out there and get that win Friday night. So come on out there, support us, you know, send off these Wolves right.
And you're right, playing for a 5-5 record, that is a big deal for this class for sure. Coach Mike Blitch, thank you, as always, for spending midweek with us and talking about our next opponent.
Thank you.
Remember, Shawnee, together, all of us, we build